Oh yeah.
Skiing Fred, developed by Datalord, is the fifth game in the Fred series. Starting out on iOS, Falling Fred set the premise of Fred plunging into perilous situations. He was tossed down a trap-filled shaft and forced to dodge obstacles and hazards until his demise set a new high score. Followed by Falling Fred Z and Super Falling Fred, the pattern continued. Datalord must have felt that Fred fell far enough, as the release of Running Fred now saw our hero being chased down a long, trap-filled hallway to escape the wrath of death. When Skiing Fred came along, it started out much the same way. First on iOS, then Android, and with some slight changes to the controls, it came to OUYA. Skiing Fred sees our titular hero yet again trying to escape from the grasp of the Reaper, also known as Grimmy. This time, however, Grimmy has chased Fred high up a mountain, and his only escape looks to be down. The opening cutscene, played at the beginning of each new play session, shows Fred back in his element, falling, until he lands in an outhouse. Making use of one of the planks of wood from it, he fashions a makeshift snowboard and continues his escape. This is where you, the player, are granted control of Fred's downhill death run. At this point, you'll be dodging penguins, Eskimos, buzzsaws, spiked flails, explosive charges, lightning storms, bottomless pits, and even bear traps, just to name a few of the obstacles, all while trying to keep ahead of Grimmy. While dodging everything that's trying to kill you, and almost everything in this game is, you'll have the opportunity to collect gold Reaper coins, adequately named Scullies, to purchase upgrades and accessories in between runs. There's also a premium currency, green gems, that can be purchased using real money to buy special upgrades and accessories. Though rare, gems are also possible to find during your downhill runs, but are usually in hard-to-reach locations. Every run in Skiing Fred is randomly generated, making no two runs the same. Gauged further by 4 separate difficulty levels, determining the frequency and severity of the traps, Skiing Fred proves to be an enjoyable challenge for any skill level.
Oh yeah.
The graphics of Skiing Fred are made up of 3D models and environments crafted with the Unity engine. Textures are bright and well detailed for their presentation. Fred is a wonderfully identifiable character, and the inclusion of a close-up of his ever-changing expression is a nice touch. The only complaint in graphics I have is that there are a couple of display glitches that don't happen too often. The first I've personally noticed is when the X button on the menu box doesn't render properly. It still functions, but it looks like it's trying to display an entire spreadsheet in a tiny space. The only other graphical issue I noticed happens even more rarely than the first, but this one can affect gameplay depending on the player. Sometimes the texture transition for the snowstorm hazard doesn't go away even if the snowstorm has ended. This leaves everything solid white when it shouldn't be, and could make traversing the terrain more hazardous than it should be. Aside from those two rather minor issues, the graphics are well suited for the display of this game.
Oh yeah.
The music in Skiing Fred is upbeat and rocks hard. Considering the deadly foe that is constantly on your heels, the music adds to the tension. The sound effects are crisp and well suited to each situation. The satisfying sound a penguin makes when you run it over never gets old. However, the cry they make when they're wearing a bomb preparing to sacrifice themselves to stop you, well, you better take note of that one. Sometimes it's the only indicator you have when moving at top speed to jump a group of penguins instead of plow through them. Other common sounds are the note progression heard when collecting chains of Scullies, the chatter of Eskimos skiing alongside you, and of course, the various crunches of your many inevitable deaths. Get used to hearing this. All in all, the soundscape of Skiing Fred fits perfectly within the world it has created.
Oh yeah.
The controls are simple. The left stick moves Fred back and forth. The O button jumps. Holding the O button builds speed. The A button applies the brakes, and in mid-air it allows you to stomp once the appropriate upgrade has been purchased. The rest is up to you to dodge, slide, fly, and roll to survive. As you slide down the mountain, you'll need to time your jumps and dodges to weave your way through the various obstacles. Don't forget to collect the Scullies for your upgrades, and food collectibles for extra points. Sliding past an enemy or a trap very closely will grant a near miss bonus. Randomly, you'll be bombarded with an environmental hazard, either a lightning storm, meteor shower, or a blizzard. The intensity of the hazards is chosen at random. A level 1 lightning storm causes lightning to strike far enough ahead of you to dodge properly, but a level 4 storm, they strike fast and move across the field, making dodging almost impossible. But every so often, you see a green pillar of light in the distance. Keep an eye on this pillar as you get closer. It marks the location of a vehicle power-up. Vehicles include snowmobiles, jetpacks, a snowball you get impacted to, and a bird that carries you through the sky. Each vehicle has its own control and time limits. Snowmobiles are fast and jump high, including a double jump, and last until they take too much damage. Jetpacks launch you into the air when you hold the O button, leading you to secret stashes of scullies, but run out of fuel and it's back to the snow. Snowballs allow you to smash through traps and obstacles, but only last for a short time. Birds carry you over the land with a chance to collect fruit for points. You'll also encounter warp portals that shoot you further ahead on the track, and treasure portals that contain boatloads of scullies, but Grimmy himself can follow you into these hallways, so be careful. These vehicles and special items can all be upgraded with the scullies you've collected. To stay ahead of Grimmy, you'll need to hold the O button for speed. This increases the score multiplier for every bar of the adrenaline meter you fill, and its max increases as you level up. You level up by completing the various missions given to you 3 at a time within your runs. Each mission grants a star, and filling your star count increases your level. How many stars you need to level up increases the further you get. Missions include simple things like running over so many penguins, to more difficult tasks like near-missing meteor craters while using the snowball. Leveling up also grants special items and unlocks harder difficulties. Since each run is randomly generated, the gameplay can be a bit unforgiving at times, especially on harder difficulties. There are times when you'll accidentally bump into a wall and the recovery time allows Grimmy to catch you before you even get up, or you'll jump over one obstacle perfectly only to land in a bottomless pit. Though these grievances are minor, if they end up happening in multiple runs, especially when near the goal of a mission, it can be rather frustrating. It can also be a pain when your OUYA controller ends up getting some input delay. Remember those pro tips from the first episode? This game is fast, and precise input is a must when at top speed, but all in all the gameplay is enjoyable, if frustrating at times.
Oh yeah.
The content of Skiing Fred is rather extensive, but most of it will be out of reach unless you are extremely patient or have a lot of cash to blow. The game adopts the freemium model, where it is free to play, but you have a game currency requiring real money to acquire. These would be the green gems. Sure, every so often you'll find a gem on your run, and you might even be able to grab it, but that's a long and hard way of getting some of the cooler looking items to decorate Fred and your board with. On top of that, the one power-up that requires gems is probably the most useful, the Scully Multiplier. Upgrade this, and Scullies increase in their individual value. You can also use a gem to revive yourself once during a run, but with how often you die in this game, that seems like a steep investment. Sometimes an item you want will end up in the daily deal, the special splatter on the title screen. They change frequently, so you may get lucky and see something you want on sale. Some items are bought with Scullies as well, so they may not be too out of reach. Also in the store are one-time use power-ups, including shields, lucky misses, and pitfall recoveries. These power-ups can be used to give you an edge on getting that lucky slide past a dangerous object. They're also purchased with Scullies, so you have a chance to buy them more often. Every so often you may also find a passcode on Skiing Fred's Facebook page. Entering these codes on the title screen will also unlock content, though I personally haven't seen any new promotions as of late. Skiing Fred has some great content, and some really great in-jokes amongst its costumes and items, but having a good majority of that content require I open my wallet to obtain takes away from some of that appeal. Skiing Fred is a great game for the OUYA. Having a tactile controller really makes the controls tight and enjoyable. The comedy behind the character and his mishaps is enjoyable. The only real downside is a lot of the better content requires actual money to obtain. But if you can resist emptying your wallet for a crash test dummy, which even for me is a trial in self-control, then Skiing Fred is an enjoyable romp of downhill adrenaline that everyone should have on their OUYA. The minor technical issues can easily be overlooked, and that's only if you actually see them. Skiing Fred gets a 4 out of 5. Thank you for watching OUYA Oh Yeah! For more about this game, be sure to visit their website. If you'd like to learn more about the OUYA, check out ouya.tv. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more OUYA Oh Yeah!